Welcome. This is a very short tutorial where I'll be talking about just the basic commands that you will need to get started with R. The rest of the commands we will learn as we go and actually solve problems. So let's get started. And the first thing I'd like to mention is about the naming convention. So something which is going to make our life easier as we go further in programming will be to start having a convention how we name our variables and how we name the functions that we define. And I will use a lower camel case. For example, if I have to name a variable that is going to hold a value of number of apples, I'm going to name it num apples, and the A will be capitalized. And same way, if I want a function that I would like that it returns a square value, then I will name it get square value. I prefer to use descriptive variable names, and similarly my functions I prefer to use verb so that it is easy to distinguish. Next, one thing that you will immediately notice in R is the assignment operator, which is shown to you on the screen right now. Unlike regular programming languages, R uses the assignment operator, which is combination of two characters. And for example, if I want to assign a value of 2 to the variable I define num apples, it has to be done the way it is shown on the screen. Same way for number of oranges. So I define a variable called num apples and assign it a value 2, and then I define another variable num oranges with assign it a value of 3, and that is it. The next command I would like to talk about is the use of the operator question mark. And what it means is that if we know about a command that we are going to use in R and we are not very sure what are the arguments it takes and what other features does it have, a very handy command to use is help. Here's an example. So if I want to see what does ls command mean, it launches the documentation for R, and I have the description that ls and objects return a vector of character strings given the names of the objects, and it gives the usage, it gives me arguments. We'll talk about arguments as we go further, and it also shows some basic examples. The next command is ls. So we just looked at help on ls, and now let's see what ls is. So if I want to see what are the variables that I have defined in my interactive shell or the R console, then I can run the command ls, and it also lists the functions that I have defined. So far I have defined num apples, num oranges. Then I can actually see it returns me that I have two variables which are num apples and num oranges. The next command is get wd, and just like any other application, when you launch an application, it has a current working directory or a working directory from where it has where it will save its file by default. So similarly, when you launch an R console, it has a current working directory, and in order to see what is the current working directory, we can use get wd command. So here's an example. So if I say get wd, I see that right now the R console is accessing my working directory as users a guru. In order for me to change it, let's say I want to work in a folder which is somewhere else than users a guru, then I can actually change that by using the next command, which is setwd. And setwd takes an argument which is of string type and sets the working directory to the appropriate value that it received as an argument. One thing to notice is that the path must exist or setwd will return an error. So let's say I want to set my working directory, and so I've set it to a new folder defined by the path as an argument. And now if I do get wd again, it returns that I have changed to this folder. What it means is that now if I want, I can store my import files. Let's say I have a data file that I want to import in my R console. I can easily import it by the command without referring to the absolute path. Now that you've looked at this, give it a try by launching an R console and see the feedback that you receive from the console after you type in these commands. Thank you.